This morning I wrote myself a note about a tweet that I wanted to think about. Wes Boss showed some work in progress of this date picker, fuzzy date picker, from 6 days after Tony Hawk was born until 2 weeks into Q3 of the year the last Nokia phone was released. LLM stuff's moving so fast that there was an initial point there where they started enabling fuzzy inputs, and that probably we haven't done nearly as much as we could with that, and there are also some good reasons for that. And one of the interesting necessary things I think he's doing here is having the date picture. It's like structured, fuzzy inputs into structured inputs, visualized, which allows for you to check it, modify it if you need to. And this gets into all the chat as UI conversations, because fuzzy input, you do just want the chat box. And the structured editable result is kind of probably more conventional. I think about the Google Calendar input. Heavier UI in general, and like some choices to make about how you do that UI. One thing with Wes's example I was definitely thinking about is if you're doing date to date, that's okay. Or even if you're like, the dog has a vet visit next Monday. I'm pretty confident in that, both that the LLM can do it, or the structured result would be easy to visualize and have the user see immediately. Recurring events is where this all gets interesting or tough. It's like it could be recurring every Monday of every week. It could be recurring on the first Monday of every week. Could be recurring on the second day of every month. And LLMs would probably mostly get that right, almost always get that right. But in the failure case, does it just cause you not to trust at all? But it means the UI is not solved. You just pushed the UI questions to the second step. They are editing versus entry. I think you have to wrestle with most of the same complexity that you would have trying to make a nice structured interface for a user to enter recurring events. But for entry, you're going to use the text box. You get to simplify that. But yeah, it's all pushed off to this next step. There's some combination of this connection of this to CodeGen and diff evaluation. And there's some question too of if you structured your data well enough, could you just show the data? It's tempting, but no, you probably want a UI level on top of the data that makes it readable to the user. The data layer there is what the LLM is going to go from the text box into the data layer. UI level, the readable to the user. Data layer is the ultimate source of truth, and there's probably a lot of work to do there in terms of those recurring events and how you do that. I think about carve at the joints. Look for the joints where things can be separated and kind of self-contained or almost self-contained, what those connections between those joints look like, what you can move around, and definitely how LLMs change this, shift things. Just looking in general for all that.